I don't know about your headline in the ticker. We don't actually have anything about the Oilers on the schedule tonight, so we should just move right past it.
Ooh, baby. Leon, Mother, Cluckin, Draisaitl. Holy Dinah,
two all time in first 7 games. Goals in first 7 games. Is that what the stat was? 11 goals in the first 7 games.
And he has the opportunity to break the all-time record, most goals scored in a playoff. 19, and he's at 13, right? 13, I think. Anyways, yeah, pretty incredible.
You know, he's only got about 3 more games left. That's all order.
Let's go Oilers, baby. Yeah, baby. Whoop. Hey. Whoop. Whoop. No, too much.
You know, the funny thing is that when I did the first video on YouTube, because if you're listening to this or watching it on one of the other platforms, it's also on YouTube now, and they gave me a warning about the copyright, and they're like, there was an option to put a comment in to dispute it. I'm like, we have written permission from the person who wrote this that we can use the song in the mashup. That's my dispute. It's not disputing whether or not it's there or not, but we have permission.
Well, welcome to Mashup 54-2s, brought to you by our man Vance Crowe and his legacy interviews. Give your family the opportunity to know their history. Trust Vance, like we all do, to get your loved ones to tell the stories that will help future generations know what it means to be a member of your family. It's a professionally recorded video conversation aimed at capturing the essence of your life stories, memories, insights, valuable life lessons. The goal is to preserve the individual's wisdom for future generations in the form of a timeless video and optional leather-bound autobiography.
Just think about how cool that would be with just, you know, when you look at some of the patriarchs and matriarchs of your family, like how much their lives have changed.
Listen. All you got to do is bring up Dora Newman to the Newman family. She was the matriarch of the family. If there's one person I wish I would have been doing this so I could have interviewed her, it would have been her, hands down. I think she would have been phenomenal.
That's your grandma?
Yes. And you don't, I assume everyone listening to this has that one person. It's like that person would be perfect.
Yep.
And I mean, to get Vance to do it would be fantastic. I mean, hey, speaking of conversations had, I listened to you twos invited on to the Vance Crowe podcast. If you haven't tuned into that, you should.
I was totally, it's like talking to a girl out of your league kind of thing. Like, what the hell does Vance Crowe want to do talking to me?
You know, it's funny. I was captured earlier today by a friend, Ken Rutherford. And another fellow, I don't know if you've ever met Blaine. Either way, me and Blaine got talking about said podcast. Anyways, they almost held me away from Mashup 54. I broke away. I'm here. I'm ready to roll. But anyways.
Oh, so they listened to the Vance Crowe thing too?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah. And me and Blaine were both saying, we're like, Two said some things about the oil field that I'm pretty sure I had no idea. Anyways, you did a lovely job, I thought.
Oh, like you guys need to fact check it?
No, I'm definitely not fact-checking it. I thought you did a great job of breaking down a whole bunch of things in the oil field.
Oh, okay. Oh, it was just new stuff that you guys...
Yeah. That I didn't... I was like, oh. Well, isn't that something? Anyways, I thought you did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Listen, we throw shots at each other, and I chuckled in it because you're like, yeah, we kind of throw these things back and forth and this and that about that. And I'm like, yeah, we do. But this right here, I'm being dead serious. I thought you did a great job. And if you haven't tuned into Vance Crowe... you should, and why not start with 222 minutes?
You could do worse, I guess.
You can always do worse.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm going to talk about the Oilers for a quick hot second.
They tie it up on the docket. It's not.
They tie it up. They tie it up, and I tell you what, they absolutely rode into Vegas after an abysmal game one, and they railroaded.
They won 5-1. This is like, you know, when you got like a 3-year-old and they draw you some random
Yes.
thing with like
Yes.
smears of
I 100%
crayons,
agree. I am
and
the
then they're all
3-year-old.
proud as a
Yep.
peacock, and you put it up on the
You're
fridge,
saying
and
the
you're like,
others are the
"Oh, that's
3-year-old.
wonderful! Great job! Great job!"
Sure.
That blob
Oh,
over there
man.
is you. That blob over there is me.
Can you believe the Toronto Maple Leafs are down 3-0 to the Florida Panthers?
Yes, I
Oh,
can.
man. Oh,
Oh,
holy man.
it's beautiful. It after so many years of them just being, stuck. They can't get past the first round. They can't get past the first round. I think Buffalo made it past the first round before the last time Toronto made it past the first round. And now it looks like they have no business being there, which is just vindication. I'm so excited for my buddy Dave to hear this and know that we all know how much the Leafs suck.
How about we talk about a couple key dates coming up here, okay? Now, this is the weekly. You're going to rag on me because Shaun's talking about himself, and that's fine. S&P presents Luongo and Craner, June 10th. Two's already says it's a crappy date. Either way, it's happening. June 10th here in Lloydminster, Gold Horse Casino. Would love to see you there. How about another date coming up faster than that? Mashup election coverage, May 29th. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Chris Sims is going to be with us. Tarek, Nick Von Dubs, Todd Lowen, Chuck Prodnick, Shane Getson, Vance Crow.
Oh, you got Chuck in. Awesome.
Oh, I did. I'm just adding names as we go along. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, you're going to have us two Yahoos there. We're going to be live streaming from a location, undisclosed location, in case anyone wants to come protest.
The studio, but okay.
And it should be a fun night. That's May 29th. So if you're looking to follow along Alberta election coverage, look no further. We're here.
And if anybody knows anyone in Antarctica, we would love to talk to them about how they feel about the election. So if you know someone who's in Antarctica right now, we want to talk to them. Just go live to them for a couple minutes and ask them what they think about the way the election went.
Of all two's ideas, I thought Antarctica was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. And we're looking for somebody who, wait, do we have Tim? Is Tim Moen good to go?
Well, so Tim has said he would, and I'm like, well, is that what we want? So we haven't talked about this yet.
I would absolutely love to have Tim.
So chances are we got Tim Moen as well.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Yes, he was. We both threw it out on Twitter. We're looking for somebody from the NDP, and everybody laughed at us, and Tim Moen stepped up saying he would. So Tim, if you're listening, we look forward to bringing you on the Tuesday Mashup election coverage.
We've written you down as a yes.
That's right. And
you are now contractually obligated.
One other date I want to throw out there is May 11th. Border crossings go back to normal, which I know Tuesday says we don't talk about it on here, but I thought we'd throw that in. May 11th is a big one. Now, shall we fire this thing up? It's a short week. Somebody is going to an Oilers playoff hockey game, Game 3, and anyway, so we got a little short week here. We're recording early so we can make sure we got a mashup for all you lovely folks. Which means it's a short week. So I don't know. I didn't.
It's a short week, but there's some weighty topics here. So I think it's probably going to even out.
Okay. Well, let's start here. Women firefighters burned down the Patriarchy and Banff. So here we go. But Jane Park is a leader in wildfire management, but she's faced her share of adversity in the male-dominated industry. As one of only a handful of female Type 1 incident commanders in North America, and the only one in Parks Canada, Park works passionately to raise awareness of gender and diversity issues within the federal agency and the broader wildland fire community. That's why Park is one of the driving forces behind Banff National Park planning and hosting a Women in Fire Training Exchange May 1st to 12th, known as WTREX. It is an intensive 12-day training exchange that combines practical live fire training with indoor learning and discussion to advance participants' qualifications and experience in wildland fire operations.
What could possibly go wrong?
And an important part of the conference will focus on Indigenous cultural fire practices. Weather permitting, participants will also take part in a prescribed burn at Compound Meadows adjacent to the Banff town site. Carrying on. Windier than anticipated conditions are to blame for a prescribed burn near Banff growing out of control on Wednesday evening, causing several evacuations and dense smoke over the Trans-Canada Highway, says Parks Canada officials. Fire crews began work on a planned burn north of Banff town site between Banff Avenue and Highway 1 on Wednesday around 4 p.m. as temperatures soared to the mid-20s 2 days before the full ignition was to take place amid forecasted cooler and wetter temperatures Friday. However, as firefighters were blacklining pre-burning grasses and other potential fuels to outline the controlled burn area, a sudden wind shift caused the blaze to jump to the east side of Banff Avenue, where it grew about 3 hectares beyond the 300-hectare control area. Jane Park was quoted as, "The wind was not forecasted yesterday, nor was the change in wind direction for us. We were prepared for unexpected changes. It was a little faster than anticipated," she said. "We have to conduct our prescribed fires when the conditions are ready to meet our ecological objectives as well as our objectives to protect the community." And a number of the firefighters working on the prescribed burn Wednesday were part of the Women in Fire training exchange program currently taking place in Banff. Park said WTREX is a training program for experienced firefighters from across the globe called the team working the blaze the cream of the crop. There you go.
Here's the problem you run into with this stuff is that whenever you have a situation like the black female CEO of Pearson Airport, where Pearson Airport has been an absolute shit show, anytime something like this happens where you're trying to force a quota rather than looking at the most qualified people, there haven't been any big incidents yet, but remember when the airlines were reducing the entrance requirements for minorities and women to get more of them as pilots. Now, if anything happens there, it's the first thing people are going to look at. They're going to say, well, these people aren't qualified because there was a set, very clear bit of qualifications that were put forward. They got moved to the side to make way for diversity. And here you've got people who burned down a chunk of Banff. And did it happen just because things went wrong? Or did it happen because they're diversity hires? And the problem with this whole thing is that it's always the nagging question. And it doesn't really do them any favors in the long run. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'm wondering if Miss Park is sitting there like, mother, like, come on, ladies. Like, what do it's like we gotta all of Alberta is burning right now. So we got a prescribed burn going on where you got the cream of the crop. It's like, okay, this can't get out of hand. We've literally predicted everything. Okay, if this happens, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, and boom, it's gone. And you're like, son of a bitch. Like, this is unbelievable.
I mean, they did describe, it's funny because there's this puff piece from a few days leading up to it talking about how great and wonderful she is and how she's a trailblazer. Well, maybe she needs to blaze a few less trails.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like, to me, I'm like, I read it, I'm like, what's the worst? If you're sitting there writing the first piece, you go, what is the worst possible outcome? Well, the fire gets away. That would really suck. Like, I mean, that pretty much undoes the first part, and the fire gets away. So I mean,
on the plus side, they hardly burned down any buildings.
Correct, and it only lasted a short.
Buildings that they burned down. As far as uncontrolled fires go, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, luckily, most of Banff is fucking rocks, so that's good.
All right, here's the ferryman's toll. It was a women's firefighter conference, hand palm, and you got the two articles side by side. How a fire went from prescribed burn to an out of control in an instant near Banff. It's like it's not like 2 weeks between pieces. We're talking April 28th to May 4th. That's
and it's funny because I texted you these exact two articles like the night before all of this stuff blew up.
That's just, oh man,
But I mean, there's been so much going on with the fires, and
well, here I'll pull up the 5-year comparison of area burned by current date. There you go.
Well, that doesn't seem suspicious at all.
Climate change, man.
Oh, well, I mean, in 2018, maybe 2020, I can't remember which one. I think I talked about it before on a previous episode, but the Liberals had commissioned a study to look at the effects of climate change on natural disasters, and it focused specifically on wildfires. And then Catherine McKenna was throwing it around, and there was a bunch of Liberals talking about, oh, climate change is burning down all our forests. And then somebody pointed out a couple days later, once they actually got into the nuts and bolts of it, that most of the fires they looked at were actually caused by arson. So, I mean, it's man-made for sure, but it totally, is not at all what they were talking about. And then that study quietly went away and was never talked about again because they ended up looking like idiots. And right now, you look at this 5-year average, and it looks pretty damn suspicious. And then there was the Parkland County was they had tweeted that they had 5 fires, and they suspected that 4 of them were arson. And then our firefighters responded to 4 fires in 5 days that appear to be intentionally set. Right, so Parkland County being just outside of Edmonton.
Yeah.
So this,
I hear what you're saying. And for the person who's listening, as I bounce through different tweets here, the one Twos is talking about with the chart, it's from 2018 to 2023. It's like there's nothing nothing there. I don't mean to say that. Just the way the chart looks for the first 5 years, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, it's pretty low, and then it goes off the rails in 2023. It's through the roof. The blue chart, the blue bar graph.
Yeah, well, you've got 851 is the highest in the previous 5 years, and then right now it's just
18,
shy of 18,000.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to talk about this? So
okay, yeah,
here's 2 different people on Twitter. This is completely, so Daniel Smith has come out and given a press conference. Anyways, this is completely improper, violating every key rule of elections. The premier should not be exercising the powers of the office to broadcast at all. She's not even a member of the legislature. The civic service is supposed to be in charge. The cabinet is supposed to stand down. So that's the first one, okay?
Well, you can always tell how credible a tweet is by how many things are in caps.
The second one, this is what it looks like from Edson. I feel like I'm in an apocalypse movie right now. Where is Premier Daniel Smith in this time of crisis while many people in this province need aid, assistance to fight these fires and get to safety? That's the two we've highlighted.
They're NDP supporters, and the rule is that no matter what the other guy does, if it's the other guy doing it, it's wrong. And so when it first started, they were all upset because she hadn't said enough. And then as soon as she said something, they said she shouldn't be saying anything. And classic NDP, there's no logic or coherence between any of their statements or any of their policies.
You also sent through a bunch of articles, Twos, on some of the NDP cuts. So in 2016, you had Alberta cuts nearly $15 million from wildfire management budget. And then the Fort McMurray, there was, in the days before the northern Alberta fires became burning uncontrollably, causing for evacuation of the entire town of Fort Mac. Premier Rachel Notley accused opposition leader Brian Jean then of fear-mongering and grandstanding when he voiced concerns over province's wildfire preparedness. And
his house burned down literally a few hours after Rachel Notley told him he was fear-mongering. Okay, so 2016, the NDP cut back on firefighting funding, and then in 2019, the UCP cut back. I think it was 2019, the UCP cut back in firefighter funding. And so it's funny because now you've got these NDP supporters online saying, oh, well, we should vote for Rachel Notley because the other people cut firefighting funding. Hey, read a history book, idiots.
All right. Speaking of the NDP are a right-wing
just real quick
party.
Just real quick.
Sure.
before anybody gets confused, because it has been a while ago, it wasn't Rachel Notley that sent away all the proposed international aid when Fort Mac was burning down. Okay? To be absolutely fair, she had nothing to do with that. That was Justin Trudeau that turned everybody around when Russia said that they were going to send over air bombers, and there was just about a half dozen different countries that were like, we're going to send people, equipment, all this stuff. And Trudeau was like, no, I fucking hate that place. Okay, that wasn't Notley.
Did you see?
That was
Did you
Trudeau.
see the suit? What's the little handkerchief that goes in the pocket square?
Oh,
Did you see?
yeah,
Did you
pocket
see
square.
Jordan Peterson's pocket square that somebody made him?
No.
It's Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and the devil in the tree, the snake, giving him the poison apple, or the apple, is a man with horns, and when it's zoomed in, is Justin Trudeau. That's the pocket square somebody made Jordan Peterson. I was like, man, does this country dislike that man or what?
Oh, man, could you imagine how pissed off you'd be right now if you were Satan and people were comparing Justin Trudeau to you?
I don't know. I actually don't know what to say to that other than, yeah, I have just, sure. I mean, at the end of the day,
Like, do you see me surfing on my lake of fire every day? No, I'm out here working hard day in, day out, practicing my fiddle. I'm not the best, but at least I stick with things for more than a few years here and there instead of Mr. Never Help full-time job.
the NDP are a right-wing party. I don't know what you want me to do with this. I took the quiz. Did you take the quiz?
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you still have the results up?
I don't have the results up, but I did take a picture of it somewhere.
Let's go to mine. All right. So we have here. Well, whatever. This will work.
Here, I'll Twos, you're supposed to have this up. Share screen.
All right. So here it is. Here is the CBC's take on the political landscape in Alberta. And it has the NDP as being a slightly right of center party. Right here. The NDP, right of center. Here's where my results came in, surprisingly enough.
There you go.
But yeah, NDP, here's center, here's NDP.
I'm curious where you ended up, Twos, now that you're there.
But you didn't see, I just pointed it out. I was in the bottom right corner.
Oh, you're in the bottom right corner?
Yeah. Basically, anytime a question started off with, should the government, I didn't read it, and I just went, strongly disagree.
Well, I tell you what. That was a fun little exercise, except I pulled out several different screenshots in there that I was like, here, I'll pull up a couple of them here if I can pull this off. I mean, I guess I just did the one.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to talk through some of the methodology they used for it. So they had said Alberta should take a tougher stance in dealing with the federal government. And then the NDP is listed as somewhat agree. So if you hit somewhat agree, you would line up with the NDP in that. When has the NDP ever, in the 4 years that they were in charge, pushed back on the federal government? When has, in the subsequent 4 years, when have they ever said that something the federal government doing they're not aligned with? I mean, they're the ones who did the carbon tax. They were all on board with canceling the Northern Gateway pipeline. And were the embarrassing cousins, were the sewer rats. They've never been out of lockstep with the federal government. So why would it possibly say somewhat agree? There's nothing in any of their actions ever since they achieved what could be loosely defined as political relevancy. Nothing to support that they would strongly agree with a tougher stance against the federal government. Okay? And then Alberta pays more than its share of support to the rest of the country. NDP is somewhat agree. NDP pushed back on revising the equalization thing exactly, or on not revising equalization exactly zero. Again, they have always been in lockstep with the federal government. So if the NDP even somewhat agreed, that they're paying more than their fair share, because they're all about everybody paying their fair share, are they not?
They
Then
are.
it would make sense that they would have mentioned it at some point. But because they have never at all talked about how unfair equalization is, I would say that would be strongly disagree. And so you've got these individual takes that just move them further right with absolutely no justification. There's a whole bunch of them in there. Like you can go into
here this is some
policy, same thing, several examples. Law and order, taxation. Basically, like it completely avoids the idea of them running deficits and stuff. So this is it's impressive that that CBC did something decent here, but not in an honest way. They put a lot of time and effort into asking exactly the right questions to avoid putting forth anything that would be critical of the NDP. And even when it should be critical, they just lied and just moved them over on the compass.
So here, this is CBC News Vote Compass, okay?
Yeah.
I'm literally like rolling through here, and I just started taking screenshots because I'm like, how is it? Like this is what makes me a right-wing extremist at this point, okay? Yeah. Schools should always inform this is one of the questions. Schools should always inform parents if their child uses different gender pronouns in the classroom than they do at home. I would think yeah, you probably should inform parents. That's just me. The Alberta government should restrict unvaccinated individuals from entering non-essential public spaces during the public health emergency. And while I'm reading these, I want everybody to realize there's a whole bunch of things you can select from. Strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, neutral, somewhat agree, strongly agree, don't know, okay? So every question you hear. And they had a whole lot of them. Here's another one. Indigenous communities in Alberta should have a veto over natural resource development projects in the province. Okay?
I think that's almost a non-starter question, really.
I'm just saying.
But again, this is the bullshit. Or CBC
people who
stuff.
use illegal drugs should have access to supervised consumption sites. I'm not done, Twos. I'm going to keep going here.
Yeah,
people with severe and incurable mental illness should be able to request a medically assisted death. So they've they've stocked all. How much land in Alberta should be turned over to Indigenous peoples? Okay, and finally, how much land? Oh no, twice in the same one. There you go. That's the ones I all highlight. I'm like, okay, so by any which way where I don't say I agree with this, I'm already almost as far right wing as you can get, and I'm like,
well, yeah, I ended up in the exact literal bottom right corner of this because I don't want the government involved, and that makes me the absolute furthest extremist of right-wing libertarianism. Okay, here's another one. Okay, how much should wealthier people pay in taxes?
Yeah, that was in there too.
If you were to take the NDP stance on how much should wealthier people pay in taxes, what do you think it would be? Much less, about the same as now?
Guaranteed much more.
Okay, according to the Vote Compass, the NDP stance is about the same as now.
True.
They're totally lying in an attempt to tip the scales towards left-leaning governments. It's bullshit. It's pure bullshit.
Hope they don't shit on you, Bubbles.
Shit on who?
Shithawks.
Shithawks.
Big, dirty shithawks.
I agree, too. I started taking it. I didn't know what the heck I was expecting here. And the longer I read these questions, I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, can we talk about some things that actually make a little bit of sense? Anyways, that's me. Just the tip of an iceberg, just for a second.
Just to see how it feels.
It was a calm spring day when Canadian photographer Ken Pretty spotted an interestingly shaped 30-foot iceberg off the coast of Newfoundland. Newfoundland's east coast. Here, I'm gonna bring this up while I talk about this.
Shaun, it's already up. Okay. So this is an iceberg. This is an actual iceberg.
As he flew, man, if you aren't watching this, I feel for you right now because this is maybe the best thing the Mashup has put on display in a long time. I'm gonna zoom in on this sucker. You know,
you can see the veins. Like it's even circumcised.
As he flew his drone overhead, Pretty, who hails from the town of Dildo, no, I cannot make this, I can't make this up, folks. Realized the hulk of the ice bore a distinct resemblance to a characteristic part of the human male anatomy. Looking from the land, it was quite clear, said Pretty. But once I got the drone out there, it was unreal how much it looked like, well, you know.
Yeah, it looked like a nautical love stick.
Pretty's images of the phallic berg prompted an outpouring of hilarity on Facebook, where users speculated that the iceberg would probably soon drift past Dick's Cove, Newfoundland, or suggesting it could provide ice for the stiffest drinks. One woman dubbed it the Dickieberg.
Yeah, so anyway, this guy just goes around filming icebergs, fair enough, and he finds one that looks like some kind of a giant oceanic tallywhacker. And I don't know why this isn't front page news everywhere. Like this is just probably just about the funniest thing
all I can think of it is Austin Powers.
Oh yeah!
My God, that looks like a giant Johnson. Get over here!
Yeah. Nuts, get your nuts.
We're waiting for his Dr. Evil to get out and wave and blast off. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a giant aquatic trouser snake.
I kind of want to just leave this here for the rest of the mashup and let's just roll through. No matter how serious we get, if that's sitting beside us, I feel like people will, they'll ease up on some of they'll have something to brighten their day.
I don't know. I feel like things could get pretty hard.
You might say so.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next thing. It couldn't possibly be more to do with penises than this one.
Well, we got to talk about the heist, don't we? Well, I feel like Twos is all about absolutely. The heist here. Okay, here.
And then I almost missed it.
And let's be honest, the dildo, the big giant iceberg, it gets to stay with us for just a couple more seconds, folks. Police in Canada are investigating a chilling theft in Newfoundland community after the disappearance of 30,000 liters of valuable iceberg water. Thieves are believed to have covertly pilfered the water from a storage facility in the coastal town of Port Union last week. The water was intended for vodka production, said police.
Yeah, so this article is from just over 4 years ago, but it got referenced in the other article, and I'm like, how did we not even hear about this? Like this, it's a water heist?
A water heist.
A water heist.
A water heist.
But I mean, like again, now all of a sudden they're looking for a tanker because they're like you can't just fill your pockets with this shit, right? Just the amount of ingenuity that goes into some of these things, and it feels like there's so many awesome heists in Canada.
I don't know. What do you think it is?
We've got the coolest heists. It should be like a tourist thing. Like, come to Canada. We steal interesting shit.
Yeah, you want to steal money? I'm going to show you. I'm going to steal a bulker of penis water. You know,
like it just seems like well.
Can you imagine loading that
James
thing?
Bond thing. Like,
can you imagine loading that thing up on the back of a flatbed and just driving it out? And you're like, that's illegal, but that's awesome. Just go, man.
You'd want it just sticking out the front. You'd be able to drive as fast as you want. People be like trying to get out of the way. You never have to stop at traffic lights. People be swerving around it.
You give Free Willy a new meaning.
And then you just ram it right into a tunnel, never to be seen again.
That's what we're here for, folks. The Tuesday Mashup, bringing you some laughs when you need something to lighten the mood. Oh man, Free Willy.
But not only that,
slamming into a tunnel.
Before the coronation of Prince Charles III in England, somebody took a lawnmower and cut a giant dick into the grass in front of Buckingham Palace. Like, I wonder if it's the same guy. They look kind of similar.
Whew. And then we follow it up with Bill C11 could screw pornographers.
I'm sorry, how did you pronounce that?
Pornographers.
Okay, well, you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
All right. I'm trying to hold it together here. Oh, man. I got a giant ice penis sculpture. Anyways,
Switch over to the Buckingham Palace one real quick.
I didn't even pull it up. I got to be honest. I literally was looking at it. I'm like, this is going to be the for week 54. If you remember anything, it'll be the giant iceberg in the shape of the human, erectile cock and balls. I'm sorry.
Your apologies to Mrs. Newman.
That's right. But I mean, literally, it's right there, folks. Like, I mean, if you can't see that, anyways, here we go. Do you want the Buckingham Palace? Do you want that? Do you want me to show that?
Oh, it's just funny because someone just
mowed
a giant dick. And actually, you know what? Like, as a dad who takes care of his lawn really well, I can appreciate that those are some really well done lines. Like he put a lot of time and effort into getting it exactly right. Like, I do a pretty good job, but I feel like I'd be drifting a little bit as I went.
Here, let's see if I can get it pulled over and so people can see what I'm talking about. Okay,
there you go.
Okay,
zoom right in on that.
So there you go. You could probably that's well done.
Yep,
that's well done. How the heck did middle of the night he went in there and did that? Obviously, how
presumably.
How the heck did he go unseen?
Well, it's middle of the night. It's generally dark then.
I know, but
I mean, anyways. You could get one of those push ones that just so you don't have the giant
one of the electric ones that just purrs. Hey?
Oh yeah. This whole New World Order stuff isn't working out well for you, is it, King Charles?
Really makes shaving a giant penis into the lawn surface nice and easy, and you go unnoticed.
It looks so much bigger when it's shaved. Same thing when it's shaved ice.
Oh, man. Bill C-11. Okay, now that the Trudeau government's Online Streaming Act is law, one little mentioned side effect is that it could soon lead to mandatory government minimum on Canadian-made internet porn. No, I'm not making this up, folks. Although the bill was primarily pitched as a way to impose CRTC oversight on streaming giants such as Netflix and YouTube, the legislation could equally apply to adult content streamers such as Pornhub or RedTube. The world of online pornography is already far more Canadian than most Canadians realize. MindGeek, I didn't realize this. This part of the article, I was like, I better toss this in because I highly doubt anyone realized this. Anyways.
Well, a year ago, you were asking me what incognito mode was in your web browser.
Correct.
So, yeah.
MindGeek, a conglomerate that quietly owns much of the X-rated internet, was founded in Montreal in 2004 and still maintains its main offices in the city, although it is now nominally headquartered in Luxembourg. In March 2023, MindGeek was purchased by Ethical Capital Partners, a private equity
What a great name for a
company.
Pornographer.
Ethical Capital Partners. A private equity company based in Ottawa, of course. The company's core property...
They do know a lot about screwing people in Ottawa.
It's true. The company's core property is Pornhub, a site founded by 3 Concordia students that is now the world's purveyor of adult content. MindGeek also owns a number of adult production studios, some of which, like Brazzers and Mofos, are similarly based in Montreal. Nevertheless, mere Canadian ownership of media content has never been enough to qualify as Canadian by the CRTC standards. The CRTC maintains a complex series of quotas under which it designates official Canadian content. As such, even a production that takes place in Canada and has a cast entirely composed of Canadians may not be Canadian content if it doesn't also meet thresholds for funding and production. Oh boy, back to porn anyways. For a conventional X-rated scene to meet current CRTC guidelines on Canadian content, the producers and majority of production crew would need to be Canadian citizens, and 75% of production expenses must come from Canadian sources. In addition, at least one of the members of the couples having sex would need to provide proof of Canadian citizenship. Once again, I never thought we'd be talking about C11, pornography, and Canadian content. Anyways, this has been maybe...
This is your tax dollars hard at work,
Hard
folks.
at work.
They are looking... just imagine you get a job at the Canadian government, and they're like, okay, welcome. Here's your office. Oh, I don't have any windows. Okay, weird. Well, what's my job? Well, you need to look at porn all day, and you need to decide if it's Canadian enough. Like, could you imagine? What they really ought to do, like Pornhub or whatever. What they ought to do is come out with like a series of just Canada porn, where they'll have just stereotypical Canadian stereotypes. Like it'll be like, you know, the Mountie on his horse pulls somebody over, and then they go off into the bushes or something like that, or something in Parliament Hill, or somebody doesn't fill out the right permit in Ottawa, and they're like, well, gee, bylaw officer, is there any way I can get out of this? Or just some lumberjack going down the
Lumberjack. How about a Canadian trucker?
Canadian trucker, right? And then he's driving down the road. And he says, "Oh, gee, hey, that looks like a really nice beaver."
We're in la la man, man. We're in la la land.
Like they just honestly, it's gonna keep happening until it gets made fun of so much for how stupid it is that the government walks it back because they're tired of being made fun of. And that's, if I was some kind of a, I don't know, Hugh Hefner type guy or whatever, I would just be like, let's make the most ludicrously Canadian porn ever. Some chick walks in with an Oilers jersey. And then the guy's like, yeah, you need to take that off right now. And she'd be like, oh, because you like the way I look? They'd be like, no, because they fucking suck.
I feel like we could make a bunch of series of short little films, comedy sketches.
I'm sorry, you think we should get into this industry?
No, well, not the porn industry. Like, I just mean...
Like, oh, yeah. What should we call it, Shaun? Should we call it the Mashup? Mashup 69.
I was just saying, like, how funny would that video be if it was 18 seconds, the new Canadian content for Pornhub, and then you just flash to it, and it's a woman in an Oilers jersey, and she does exactly that, and the guy's like, no, because the Oilers fucking suck, and that's it. That'd be funny. That would be funny. I feel like that'd be a nice short video. In my world, it'd be a Calgary Flames. But hey, when the Flames fans are sitting out golfing all the time, folks, they have to come up with these funny little sketches because they literally aren't playing hockey. So what are you gonna do?
Well, how about this, Shaun? Can we all agree that the Leafs are fucking brutal?
I can't believe they're down 3-0. 3-0 to Florida. Whew. Whew. Yeah, that's something. Anyways, Liberals want to kneecap whistleblowers. The Liberal Party Policy Convention is underway in Ottawa. Man, do governments have the worst possible names for everything? Because I just feel like, oh my God, like every little convention group they form is just the worst name ever. Anyways, is underway in Ottawa with delegates preparing to debate a series of policy proposals that could ultimately make their way into their national election platforms. Party members voted on the top 20 proposals for discussions, included one involving the media and online information that seems obviously unconstitutional, not that that matters to the Liberals, and a direct threat to a freedom of the press, not that that matters to the Liberals yet again. The proposal, purportedly aimed at addressing misinformation, calls for more government funding, because that'll work for the media and the government, explore more options to hold online information services accountable for the veracity of material published on their platforms, and to limit publication only to material whose sources can be traced. What does traceable sources mean?
It means there's no more secret whistleblowers from CSIS.
Right.
The Liberals are literally trying to pass a law to make the breaking news that the SNC Lavalin scandal came out this way. Like I said, the whole CSIS foreign interference thing with China threatening an MP's family back in China. All this stuff would have never come out under these rules. And meanwhile, Canada, for some reason, keeps moving up in the World Freedom Press Index. But when you look at the methodology behind it, they're basically just taking the liberals on their word on all this stuff. They're like, oh, there's a bunch of different places that you can get your news from, so that's good. They're generally free of pressure from politicians. Well, is that really true when CBC is going to lose $1.3 billion if the people they don't like get in? I would say that that's a lot of political pressure.
Money creates strings, too.
But they're literally, so
why do we
the
like
whole
Blackhawks so much?
Oh, well, because they're amazing. But the whole idea of this Freedom of the Press Index is to indicate how separate the media is from the government, right? How much can you trust what comes out in the media as being fair and independent as opposed to what the government tells it to say? And to justify the high score, they literally say the government has publicly acknowledged that the, quote, media freedom remains an important part of democratic societies and essential to the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms, end quote. They're using the government quote to give a high score to the separation of media and government. This is literally asking the fox if he can be trusted in the hen house.
And I should have played this at the start, but screw it. We're going to play it right here. All right? This entire story is summed up by this.
We like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind. It's more inclusive.
There we go, exactly. Yes, thank you.
And the budget will balance itself.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
No offense, though.
No offense.
Officer looks draconian judgment in the face and doesn't blink. A Windsor police officer will have to work unpaid hours as a penalty for donating to the Freedom Convoy. Constable Michael Briscoe was previously convicted of discreditable conduct under the Police Service Act. How much do you think he donated? Briscoe.
I'm looking at it right now.
Briscoe. I know. I'm listening. I got the audience. They're sitting there watching, listening. I'm like, how much do you think he donated?
This person was very active in donating financially to the Freedom Convoy to the grand total of
$50. He donated $50 through the Give Send Go to the Freedom Convoy. At the time, he was on unpaid leave because he could not meet the requirements of the Windsor Police Service COVID-19 vaccination policy, and his own lawyer, is asking for 40 hours, while Windsor Police lawyer David Amiet requested a penalty of 140 hours.
Now you almost, it seems like you ducked out before the best part. Here is the absolute beauty. Amiet says Briscoe has not shown any remorse or, quote, acceptance of wrongdoing, end quote, that his donation supported a movement that his peers in law enforcement were trying to contain.
It's true. The guy's a total badass, even though it's for $50.
Briscoe did not plead guilty to the single charge because Miles said he wanted a public discussion about his point of view that an off-duty officer supporting a grassroots movement. This guy totally fucked over his personal career because he needed everybody to know what was
that they're
right
coming
and
after
that he
him
was
after
standing
50
behind
for
it.
$50.
This is $50, and they're going after him for 140 hours of unpaid work.
We should get this guy on, too.
Well, you absolutely should. What do you call it when you force people to work for you with no remuneration?
Slavery.
That's the word. Yes, thank you. But hey, we're a free society. Let's up that press freedom index a little bit more.
That's better.
Hats off to this guy. Hats off. Absolutely.
I agree. I mean, Man, the $50 and 140 hours. His own defense lawyer is looking
That's
for
almost
40
a month.
hours.
Actually, you know what? In terms of the public sector, that probably is a month of
And that
work.
probably is a month of work.
Well,
a month of work.
that's 4 35-hour weeks.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Like, anyways. You know what, folks? We're gonna see if we can't get a hold of Constable Michael Briscoe. Why not? That'd be fantastic. Guy needs to know that there's some people out there that think this is absolutely absurd and see what he's doing.
And that we think what he's doing is great.
That's right. Okay. We'll see what we can do. Fox may leave henpecked house. Oh, man. Good old CRTC again. The CRTC has opened a public consultation on a complaint from an LGBTQ rights group asking the broadcast regulator to ban Fox News from cable packages in Canada. EGAL Canada first said in April it would file an application asking the CRTC to ban Fox News over false and horrifying claims made by host Tucker Carlson regarding transgender individuals. The group published an open letter following a March appearance on Tucker Carlson Tonight. The group said the Fox News coverage aimed to provoke hatred and violence against the two LGBTQI communities, particularly those who are two-spirit, trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming. During the segment, Carlson made the inflammatory and false claim that trans people are targeting Christians to position trans people in oh man, I can't even get through all these freaking.
It's the letcetera, just L', etc. I remember when they first came out, it was the LG Society, and then it was the LGB Society the next year, and we laughed because it's like, oh, they're just adding more letters, and then the year after that, it was
LGBTQI, and then I believe there's a plus, isn't there?
Like, thank God we use Latin letters in our 26-letter alphabet, because if we use Greek, there's only 24, and they would have to just start repeating them.
I don't even know what to say. Anyway,
okay, well
CRTC is going to
CRTC is looking at banning
getting rid of Fox
because they don't like a Light Your Hair on Fire group is mad about something Tucker Carlson said, who doesn't even work there anymore. And crazy pitch, hear me out. If you don't like what's on the television,
turn the channel.
Turn the channel.
Don't buy cable.
Also, who even has it anymore?
Yeah.
Like, this is going to, like, the CRTC is miring itself in bureaucracy that is going to affect 17 fucking people. Which is just classic Ottawa every fucking time.
It's wild that they're like, even,
No, it isn't. This is literally all they do. If there wasn't shit like this, they wouldn't need a giant department. It would be one guy in a room with a suitcase, and he came in 3 days a week. If you just let common sense run this, that would be it, instead of this.
We're not in the world of common sense anymore.
With what did we have? Like 30% increase in our public sector since COVID started, something like that. Like this, all of this stuff is wholly unnecessary, and yet we still think that we should just keep promoting it and justifying its existence. But it shouldn't exist.
Yeah. Okay. Scientists track down 17th century patient zero. Here's our happy news of the week. Lager is the world's most popular beer, and new research shows it was invented by accident more than 400 years ago in Bavaria. The yeast that is currently used to brew cold beer originated in Munich at the court of Maximilian the Great after two different yeasts came into contact and mated.
That's not entirely fair. When it brews cold, that's not exactly correct. You usually want to brew a lager at about 19 Celsius and an ale at somewhere, depending on the strain, ballpark, call it 21 to 23 degrees Celsius.
What type of beer is your favorite, Tews?
Whichever one's in front of me. You know what? I had some Bud Light the other day, and it was the best beer that I've ever made is I had a buddy ask me if I could make a double IPA. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll try it. And it ended up being really complicated to make and super expensive because there's so much hops that go into it. And anyway, it costs like twice as much to make as a regular beer. But that's the best beer I've ever made. But it's like 8.5%, so tread careful.
That's the best beer you've ever made?
Yeah.
A double
IPA.
Oh boy. Okay, fair enough. Well,
how about you?
I'm strictly a Pilsner guy. Like, I don't mean just like the Saskatchewan.
But a Pilsner.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it. It's like, why kind of become stubborn as I get older? It's like, why go drinking a whole bunch of random beers when I'm just going to come back to Pilsner? It's just delightful. Everywhere I go, and they got, I got a buddy of mine, they run a brewery in Wisconsin, and they got a Pilsner.
There's breweries in Wisconsin?
Yeah, lots of them. And Seaside Pilsner is theirs, and I like, it's just fantastic. And I always get down there, like, what's that beer you like? And he just laughs. He's like, the Pilsner. You like the Seaside Pilsner? I'm like, I do. I really do. It's just delightful. It's delightful beer.
It's just it's great on a hot day. It just, you can't go wrong with it. You're never not in the mood for a Pilsner. Sometimes, when you get into other stuff, you want to have a wheat ale every once in a while, and you're like, okay, that's kind of nice, but it's not an everyday kind of thing. Not that you should be drinking every day. We're not doctors, but yeah, like there's so many weird ones. Like Calgary has so many bizarre different types of beer, and I like it when people keep it simple. You could try a few different things here and there. Like, I've probably only made about 10 different types of beer, but they've all been pretty good. Ginger beer, right on. But yeah, so anyways, this is good. We didn't even talk about this, but they tracked down a hybrid, and it's interesting because the characteristics of lager yeast and ale yeast are completely different, and so it was just made completely by accident. It's just a hybrid of a wild strain.
For thousands of years, yeast. All beers were fermented with a particular strain named, Saka.
And that's not even true, because Belgians are known for open cask brewing. So,
so Two's is already fired up.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Belgian beers where they'll take the same wort and they'll put it in a whole bunch of different ones, and then whatever yeast lands in it ferments it, and it'll come out with different flavors. And then the brewmaster will taste the different ones and figure out what proportion of what is going to get the flavor that he's looking for. It's almost like what do you call with whiskey, a blend. It's basically a lot like that. And so it's a good article, but it loses some of the finer points. But I just think it's really cool that, you can trace it this specifically, and you can figure out exactly where this thing came out. I mean, it would make sense because brewers keep really detailed notes. And so I don't know. It's maybe not good news, but I just find this whole story really interesting from a historical perspective.
Yes. Well, that right there is going to do it for Mashup 54. It wasn't a quick one because we seem to have hit an hour somehow. I don't know how we did that. Either way, we had a little bit of fun along the way. Mashup 54, brought to you by our friend Vance Crowe and his legacy interviews. And we record this early, so I have no idea if the Oilers are up 2-1 or where they're at. Either way, I know that I am. By the time the old dairy cartels listen to this, I'm well on my way home. So if you want to give me a text, you fire away, big fella. Either way, I certainly hope I'm excited. We're taking 2 of our kids to the game, so that could
nice.
be
First NHL games.
First NHL games. Why not be a game 3 of the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm surprised the Oilers have lasted this long in the second round.
Really?
To be honest,
interesting. How are your Flames doing?
They haven't lost a single game all playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
They've been Non-existent, I guess, is the word I'm looking for, but hey, that's me. Anyways, Mashup 54, where the Oilers are soon to be going on to the third round, and the Flames, well, they're still chipping, practicing their chips out on the,
Honestly, I feel like the Oilers are about to get fucked by a giant Neptune meat popsicle from Dildo, Newfoundland.
No, see, Draisaitl is the guy that'll be doing.
Draisaitl's about to have a dry spell.
I don't think so. I think that guy's on another level. Anyways, that's going to do it for us here at Mashup 54. Please look out May 29th. We got election coverage coming. Well,
So excited for this.
So help me. Not so help me. So help twos if the Oilers are still in the playoffs, because I don't know how I'll get my joy away from that night. Anyways, that'll do it for us too. Can you imagine the Oilers make the cup this year? Like, twos, you got like another month of this coming. Another month of.
Yeah, I'll probably just start calling in sick. You know what? You have fun. You take the kids to Edmonton to that hockey game, and I'm going to report you for child abuse.
Oh, man. They have no idea what they're in for, these kids. Teams aside, if it was Flames, Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, but it doesn't matter. First NHL game ever, they're going to a playoff game 3 where the series is tied 1-1, and they just have no idea what they're in for. No clue.
It'll be great. I mean, they're going to be walking through all the crowds. They're going to see all the beautiful Oilers fans, and they'll be like, oh, they're losing. Their grown-up teeth are coming in too.
Twos, as always. Fuck off.
A pleasure, my friend.
We'll catch you on 55 when the Oilers are moving on, and I'm going to just be even more. Oh, man. It's going to be beautiful. Either way, that'll do it for 54. We'll catch you up to 55.
All right. See ya.